Welcome to the Creative Writing Lab. This is going to be the last episode for the foreseeable future. I have new teaching responsibilities starting today, um, and so many other things coming up that I figured I may as well put this down instead of trying to juggle too many things and then dropping something. Since it's our last episode, I thought it would be fitting thematically to talk about endings. How do we end stories, novels, essays, or poems? I will talk very, very briefly about this because I have kind of a simple philosophy when it comes to endings. There's no such thing. I read somewhere that real events don't have endings, only the stories about them try and force endings onto the events. And this I agree with. And this is how I think the best nonfiction, fiction, and poetry approach endings. This is my favorite kind of ending when I can imagine life going on past the end of the book or the poem. When weeks after I finished it, I still wonder what those characters are doing next. If they ever changed, if their lives ever changed, or in their new circumstances, how are they going to cope with them? This includes happy endings too. So, all to say that this has been a wonderful experience. I've enjoyed it immensely. It's been challenging and fun, and I've loved hearing from you. I've loved making the prompts, I've loved doing these videos. And this isn't the end because we are going to keep writing, we are going to keep finding new ways to build community and to keep ourselves encouraged in 2021. The second thing I wanted to talk to you about was, well, I figured I would read to you um, a couple of the most encouraging pieces of advice that have helped me to keep going and writing in 2020. The first one is by Daisaku Ikeda, who is a Buddhist leader and my spiritual mentor, really. He says about creativity: the times when I have most intensely felt and experienced the inner reality of creation have been those times when I've thrown myself wholeheartedly into a task, when I have carried through that task until the very end. At such times, I experience a dramatically expanded sense of self. I can almost hear the joyous yell of victory issuing from the very depths of my being. This sense of fulfillment and joy is the crystallization of all the effort, each drop of sweat, each tear expended to reach that moment. Such a way of life, he says, will meet with storms and heavy rains, times of seeming defeat. But the creative essence of life is never crushed or vanquished by such things. Never for an instant forget the effort to renew your life, to build yourself anew. Creativity means to push open the heavy, groaning doorway of life itself. This is not an easy task. Indeed, it may be the most severely challenging one there is. For opening the door to your own life is in the end more difficult than opening the door to all the mysteries of the universe. But doing so, he says, is to vindicate your existence as human beings. Even more, it is the mode of existence that is authentically attuned to the innermost truths of life itself. It makes us worthy of the gift of life. I return to this so often because there is always a stage in any creative endeavor for me when I hit a wall, when it's so hard, it's so excruciating to keep going, and it seems really quite hopeless to keep going. And it just seems like the the pain of making something from nothing is not worth it. But each time, as long as I push through and past, I really break into this expansive, powerful state of life. And so does whatever my creative pursuit is. And 2020 really, for me, it's this line where he talks about such a way of life will be met with storms and heavy rains. This is true, but it's also a testament to what he says about those who strive and who push for that essence of creativity will never ever be defeated, even if it might seem like they are defeated. And as writers, we really have to constantly keep generating that from ourselves and reminding us of that. Now I know if I'm doing something creative and important and challenging, I will hit this point, but it doesn't matter. I just have to keep going, and the path will open up, and um, I will experience that immense joy, and really that is what makes us worthy, like he says, of this gift of life, that renewed effort again and again, despite any struggle or challenge. The next person I want to talk about, I've talked about her before, but I want to talk about Octavia Butler, this amazing speculative writer. She is such a huge inspiration to me. Some really practical advice she has that I think is really great. One, forget inspiration. Habit is more dependable. Habit will sustain you whether you're inspired or not. Habit will help you finish and polish your stories. Inspiration won't. Habit is persistence and practice. Forget talent. If you have it, fine, use it. If you don't have it, it doesn't matter. A habit is more dependable than inspiration. Continued learning is more dependable than talent. Finally, don't worry about imagination. This is really wonderful for me to hear because I always worried that I write everything too close to life. I have to have experienced at least a touch of something to be able to write it. So this was really encouraging to me. She says, you have all the imagination you need, and all the reading, journaling, and writing and learning you're doing will stimulate it. And we've done so much of that together through the Creative Writing Lab. She says, play with your ideas, have fun with them, don't worry about being silly or outrageous or wrong. Finally, the most important one, she says, persist. And that really is what it comes down to, I think. Can you persist? Not can you persist, but will you? I'd listen to Octavia Butler. I really would. She has forged herself as a writer. As a young Black woman from a working class home, there were no avenues for her to succeed in her chosen field, which was really male dominated, really Eurocentric, white American. And the just anyone dark in that time, in if a dark person showed up in sci-fi and speculative writing, they were usually automatically coded as evil or deficient, and there really weren't many writers of color, female writers of color, who were working. But she says, when I began writing science fiction, I wasn't in any of the stuff I read, like she says. So she says, I wrote myself in, since I am me, and here I am, and I'm writing. I hope I haven't done this before in the creative writing lab, but I want to show you how she started to write herself in. She wrote herself these amazing notes and encouragement pieces as a child and then as an adult. I am going to share my screen so you can see it too. I shall be a best selling writer. After a major, each of my books will be on the bestseller lists of Los Angeles Times, New York Times, Poets and Writers, Washington Post. My novels will go on to the above lists, whether publishers push them hard or not, whether I'm paid a high advance or not, whether I win another award or not. This is my life. She's writing in the present tense about a life she doesn't have yet. This is my life. I write best selling novels. My novels go on to the bestseller lists or bestseller lists on or shortly after publication. My novels each travel up to the top of the bestseller list and they reach the top and they stay on top for months, at least two. Each of my novels does this. So be it. So be it. I will find a way to do it. So be it. So be it. These parts here are especially just beautiful. My books will be read by millions of people. I will buy a beautiful home in an excellent neighborhood. I will send poor Black youngsters to Clarion or other writers' workshops. I will help poor Black youngsters broaden their horizons. I will help poor Black youngsters go to college. I will get the best of healthcare for my mother and myself. I will hire a car whenever I want or need to. I will travel whenever and wherever in the world that I choose. My books will be read by millions of people. So be it, so be it. And she did it. Those things actually happened. She made them happen constantly. She was always pushing herself through these notes, writing herself not only to the kind of material success she talked about earlier, but in her work as well, that excellence. This one, emotional drive, strive always, in always, at all times, always for intensity, hot or cold, hard or soft, gut wrenching or deeply stilling. There's one more. Tell stories filled with facts. I love this coming from a science fiction writer because so much research goes into science fiction. Make people touch and taste and know what we talked about, right? Sensory. Make people feel how she demonstrates what is possible for us as writers and as individuals. So, as our final prompt, I would like you to write yourself in to the life you want. You're going to write in the present tense, a vision of yourself as a writer, a person. Write in the present tense, a version of yourself that you can't yet believe is possible. This can be as large or quiet a vision as you like. It can be as material or internal as you like. Remember, Octavia Butler, who started off as a working class young writer, um, who had no models that looked like her, managed to win the MacArthur Genius Award. She has an asteroid named after her. One of the mountains on Pluto's moon is named after her. She's called the mother of Afrofuturism. So when you write yourself in the present tense right now, please do it with the confidence that she did, with that hopeful audacity that she did. Okay? I'm going to do it with you. Set a 7-minute timer and let's begin. All right, that's our timer. Thank you so much for this incredible experience, for listening with me, for writing with me. I hope you take really good care of yourselves. I hope you have a really happy new year, and feel free to reach out and talk to me if you ever want to talk writing or creativity or prompts. Take care and bye.